monsters. You've seen them all throughout One Punch Man, but do you really know them? Well, in today's video, I'm going to break down everything there is to know about monsters in the One Punch Man world, from how they are created to the different types of monsters there are. It seems like a pretty straightforward topic at first glance, but trust me, there are some nuances to monsters in One Punch Man that many people aren't familiar with. So make sure to stick to the end so you can become a monster expert when it comes to One Punch Man. This is part 2 of a 2-part series where I break down the power system of One Punch Man, with the first one being where I go into detail on what the limiter is and what influence it has on the One Punch Man world. And being the total amateur YouTuber that I am, I completely forgot to mention that that video was part of a 2-parter as well, so make sure to check that one out after this video. But before we get into this one, if you guys enjoy One Punch Man and One Punch Man related content, then you literally do not need to go anywhere else, because I post One Punch Man videos multiple times a week covering various theories, do general discussions and explain videos much like this one, and also do chapter reviews where I pride myself in being probably the first YouTuber to get a One Punch Man chapter review out once the chapter drops. So you definitely want to be subscribed with notifications on so you can be the first person to know as soon as a chapter is released. So alright, let's get into it. The best place to start in understanding monsters in One Punch Man is going over the explanation that Dr. Giannis gives about them in his conversation with Zombie Man. He more or less goes on to explain that humans can naturally become monsters from a desire to transform into something else through their bad habits, a complex, or a burst of dissatisfaction with their regular selves. So basically any set of extremely negative emotions can cause a human to transform on a cellular level and cause a complete mutation, thus transforming them into a monster. Monsters can also be artificially created by scientific means, like how we see Dr. Giannis create Carnage Kabuto through his research, and how we see Marugori turn into this gigantic monster after ingesting the serum that his brother created in episode 1 of the anime. Monsters are generally seen to be extremely hostile towards humans and want to see humans suffer. There are a few special cases where monsters seem to be getting along with humans and have generally good intentions and no malicious intent behind their actions. Like at first we see Monako be kind of suspect towards Saitama and Flashy Flash, but eventually has them grow on her and helps them through their journey throughout the Monster Association. Also, and this is a webcomic spoiler, so definitely skip ahead like 10 or 15 seconds if you don't want to be spoiled. But Amai Mask is also an example of a human that became a monster through the normal monsterization process, but has somehow been able to retain some form of his humanity and has become a hero. But monsterization is not exclusive to humans. Non-human life can also be transformed into monsters through factors such as pollutants, environmental changes, and genetic engineering. Now, a weird little outlier here is Neon, the dragon level cadre, who used to be a cat but somehow became a monster through his overwhelming hate of affection that his owner used to give him. Now, another way that humans and possibly other living things can transform into a monster is by ingesting monster cells. This kind of bypasses the need for the extremely negative emotions that are needed to cause a complete transformation. These monster cells, once ingested, turn the human into a monster and scales their power based on their abilities that they had prior to becoming a monster. One issue with this type of monsterization, noted by Giro Giro, is that ingesting a monster cell and transforming permanently caps the growth potential that that monster has. Because like humans, monsters also contain limiters, and turning into a monster doesn't remove your limiter, it basically just raises the ceiling that it has. But when you ingest a monster cell, it puts a really solid cap over that potential and kind of leaves you as strong as you ever will become once you transform. This is why Giro Giro went with the approach of continually putting someone through situations where they experience near death, because this creates a burst of growth and power. And doing this before they fully monsterify can lead to extremely, insanely strong monsters like Monster King Orochi. It's made pretty apparent throughout the series that once a human transforms into a monster due to negative emotions and their environment, the monster that they become takes on abilities relating to the source of that frustration or the conditions that that human was in when they monsterized. For example, Crablante turned into a crab monster after eating too much of it, and that car monster guy in episode 1 of the anime turned into a car monster from working on cars too much. But aside from monsters that are a result of humans transforming into them, there are natural born monsters in the One Punch Man world. A great example of this is Black S, who seems to have been a monster from the very beginning, and also monsters like Deep Sea King or Boros, who are just natural born enemies to humanity. Now you can assume that natural born monsters are a result of pollution and environmental factors, but there is a running theory out there that every monster is a result of God and his influence. There is a possibility that God himself put monsters on Earth to slowly wear down humanity and make it easier for him to take it over once he is fully resurrected. Another gray area of monsters is the idea of whether or not non-living objects can become monsters, because monsters like Sword Devil Executioner sold his soul to his blade and turned into a monster. I mean, you can kind of chalk this up to a form of transformation through extremely negative emotions, but taking it on face value, it seems like there was very much an involvement from his sword in the whole monsterization process. Along with that, we see that the Sunblade that is given to Atomic Samurai by Nichiren has some form of sentience and abilities on its own, and there is a possibility that this is also a monsterized sword. And there's also a theory that the superpowered heroes of the One Punch Man world have also gone under some form of monsterization, seeing as how the things that they can do are things that you could never imagine a regular human doing. And it appears that heroes like Puri Puri Prisoner undergo serious transformations when their backs are against the wall. But in my opinion, I think this is a different type of transformation, a different kind of metamorphosis than what happens when monsters are created. Because excluding Garo, these transformations for heroes happen with generally no extremely negative emotions tied to them. I think this is the real key here, that the negative emotions present in a human are what steers them in the direction of becoming a monster versus just generally powering up as a human. Normally, once you become a monster, there is no way to turn back into a human, but we do see that Garo is able to turn back into a human after being defeated by Saitama. Whether this is because he never fully transformed into a monster, or he's just some sort of special case because of his extremely strong will, that's something that's not really cleared up yet. And hopefully we get more information to the origins of monsters from One and Murata farther down the line, but for now, this is about everything you need to know about monsters in the One Punch Man world. But what do you guys think? Do you think there's something I missed here? Are there aspects of monsters that you think have been presented in the One Punch Man manga that you think I missed? Let me know in the comments below. I am definitely very curious to know what your guys' thoughts and opinions are. If you guys want more information on the power system of One Punch Man, then check out the video on your screen right now so you can learn everything there is to know about the limiter, because these two videos definitely go hand in hand. And just before doing that, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and again, please subscribe. I'm still a pretty fresh channel, so any amount of support is very, very much appreciated. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.